BabySpinner is one of the archetypes that stuck around all through Rocket On and well into Neo On. When it hit Neo On, people basically just said, well, let's keep it the same, but just see what new tools we have. And that's exactly what this video is going to be about, is the Neo On version of BabySpinner. A lot of people were still referring to it as Baby Porter, but Dark Alakazam is nowhere near this deck. You're not teleport blasting anymore. You're using Donphan's Rapid Spin. If you're not familiar, Neo Genesis Donphan could deal 50 damage for 3 fighting energy with Rapid Spin, but the best part of this attack is that Donphan is then sent to the bench where it's going to be safe from attacks, and instead you pull into the active position a baby Pokemon that has a focus band on it, so your opponent's going to have a really hard time knocking out that active baby. They're going to have to flip 2 coins to get that KO, and Neo Genesis provided lots of different baby Pokemon that you can utilize in different ways for if Donphan really isn't doing all that much heavy lifting with Rapid Spin. You can switch into a baby Pokemon and attack with their very useful attacks. Pichu could be very useful in doing spread damage to attacks that relied on powers like Dark Crobat or Knocklock. If you'd rather get your opponent's Pokemon powers under control instead of just punishing them with Pichu, Magby's Sputter attack was great for just straight up shutting down powers like Meganium's Wild Growth to counteract your opponent's setup or strategy. And then of course you had Tyrogue to threaten opposing babies very early game. Would really make your opponent second guess leaving a Cleffa in the active position. If you want to familiarize yourself better with the Rocket On version of BabySpinner before you watch this video, go ahead and do so. It's in the Rocket On playlist. Your biggest difference is being that Dark Vileplume is no longer in format, and you have a lot more brand new great supporter cards to help out Rapid Spin. So let's go ahead and get right into the deck list. Starting out with the Neo Genesis Phanpy to accompany the Neo Genesis Donphan. Now it's only got 40 HP, but you do have the option to get off an Endure on turn 1. If you don't have a baby Pokemon to start the game with, a baby Pokemon is going to guarantee a coin flip against your opponent's attack before the attack can even go through. With Endure, you do have to flip a coin to even see if you're going to get a focus band effect for Phanpy, but you do still have that option if you are stuck with a Phanpy as your starting Pokemon. 4/4 line of Donphan, and you are going to want to start the game with a baby Pokemon because Rapid Spin is going to take at least 3 turns to set up. There's not really any energy acceleration for fighting type, and it has to be 3 fighting energy, so you're kind of locked into this being a mono fighting deck. Even if you do get stuck using Phanpy, getting an Endure through and actually just surviving with 10 HP, that still sets you up for evolving up into Donphan and dropping a Gold Berry on it, get it healed up, and you can still be ready to start Rapid Spinning on turn 3. By then, this deck should have allowed you enough resources to get one of the baby Pokemon onto the bench. That way you can start using Rapid Spin, getting Donphan back on the bench, putting a very defensive baby Pokemon out in the active position, force your opponent to flip a bunch of coins just to attack you. For this build, I'm using 2 Tyrogue, 2 Pichu, and 2 Magby. I kind of went over in the intro why I chose those 3 in particular. And with these recent Neo On decks I've been doing, I've only been running 2 copies of Cleffa or no Cleffa at all because just so many decks were using a full playset. And you have Copycat, so that if your opponent does start the game with an Eek, which is very likely in this format, you can just use Copycat next turn and you're going to get the same kind of hand refresher that Eek would give you, but you don't have to worry about using it. Instead, you could get off a Tyrogue attack to threaten a Cleffa, or you could just start spreading some damage with Pichu, or try to get ahead of your opponent and just start sputtering every turn if you think that their setup is going to be heavily involving a Pokemon power until you have those 3 energy down on Donphan, ready to start using Rapid Spin. And from that point forward, Rapid Spin is going to be pretty hard to deal with for your opponent because Donphan's going to be moving around a lot. Every time it attacks, it's dealing a good chunk. 50 damage is enough to probably 2-hit most things in this format that aren't healing. Your exceptions being the Feraligatr that has 120 HP, Steelix that's got 110, and then a lot of decks that rely heavily on Goldberry to heal off that damage between turns. Using 4 copies of Mary in this deck, you also have Bill, but when given the option between the two, I favor Mary because it lets you cycle cards more. If you've got maybe like a Goldberry or a Strength Charm in your hand, you're like, well, I don't want to get rid of it, but I don't really need it right now, and so maybe I'll just send it back into my deck. You can do that with Mary. Get 2 fresh cards, put 2 of the cards you want to wait on back into your deck, because there are a lot of tool cards in this deck. Pokemon Trader is going to let you get the baby Pokemon you need for the exact situation you find yourself in during your setup. Double Gust is going to help you basically just move Pokemon around again. That's the other point of this deck, is just moving that Donphan out of danger's way over and over again. That way you can always just swap it right back in. All these baby Pokemon have free retreat, so that is no problem getting the Donphan back into the active position. The problem you'll run into is a baby Pokemon in the active position on your opponent's side of the field, and you don't want to have to flip extra coins to deal Rapid Spin. You want to deal solid damage every single turn. So Double Gust is going to bring out easy targets for Rapid Spin, and if you have to pull out a Pokemon that's a baby, you can free retreat it right back into Donphan. It's no problem at all. Balloonberry is in here to deal with special conditions. If there's a special condition put on Donphan, you can use Balloonberry to free retreat it to the bench, getting rid of that condition, and then free retreat your active baby Pokemon back into Donphan. That way you can just use Rapid Spin, swap places with that baby Pokemon all over again, but you're getting rid of the special condition and making it so that you can get an attack off that turn. Focus Band is going to be incredibly important in this deck. I would say don't even put a baby Pokemon onto the bench unless you also have a Focus Band to attach to it. You don't want to get it double gusted, and you don't want to get it sniped before you can really do anything with it. Strength Charm is in here just as that little extra push. Say you have an opposing Pokemon that has 110 HP, like a Steelix. You deal 50 damage to it with Rapid Spin, and if you deal another 50, it's still going to be left with 10 HP, and you don't really want that. Throw down a Strength Charm, deal 60 damage, go ahead and get that KO, and get on with the rest of the match. The playset of Recycle Energy is in here for those baby Pokemon. They all require a colorless energy to attack, so why not use the colorless energy card that's going to boomerang right back to your hand if that baby Pokemon is knocked out, or if that energy is somehow removed. Finishing with 13 fighting energy, that way you've always got enough for Donphan. That's probably the biggest limitation of this deck, is that it takes 3 turns to set up your first Rapid Spin, and that doesn't even count any additional Donphans that you're going to be putting onto the bench. Now early game, you don't really require more than 1 Donphan. It's going to stay relatively safe as long as your opponent isn't double gusting it out a lot and racking up some damage on it. Exeggutor isn't going to be hitting for weakness as long as Donphan stays on your bench, so you don't really have to worry about getting sniped all that often, but you do have to worry about getting double gusted and knocked out by a Macargo or a Feraligatr. You do have to draw some comparisons to the other Rapid Spinner in this format. Now, of course, Forretress can take advantage of Special Metal Energy to make it a little more defensive. It's got that little extra 10 HP as well. Plus, it can use Rapid Spin for a Metal Energy and 2 colorless, as opposed to Donphan's, which requires 3 specific types of energy. However, the trade-off is Forretress's Rapid Spin only deals 30 damage instead of 50. Plus, Forretress does have a pretty nifty power in Spikes, which is going to punish your opponent for putting a Pokemon back into the active position after you've Rapid Spinned it to the bench. But that also means that Forretress can't really use Pichu because it's going to take damage from Pichu's Zap attack. So at a glance, it would seem that Forretress and Donphan are pretty equal in their ability to use Rapid Spin, but in practice, you will find that dealing 50 damage with the attack is much more preferable to dealing 30, even if you do get an additional 10 by your opponent swapping Pokemon positions. I will do an upcoming video for a Forretress Rapid Spin deck, but it's kind of a completely different playstyle where it's more about the spikes than the Rapid Spin, because spikes will stack. So if you can get 3 Forretress down onto the playing field, that means if your opponent promotes a Pokemon from the bench to the active position, they're going to take 30 damage. Like most other decks in Neo-On, the success of BabySpinner is going to be very dependent on how you strategically use your Double Gust. Because when you use Rapid Spin, it's not just Donphan moving to your bench, it's also your opponent's Pokemon moving around. And so Double Gust is going to be your way in securing attack targets. If you're always having to flip coins for Focus Band or for baby Pokemon, then the game's not going to go very well for you. What you want to do instead is target some more vulnerable Pokemon on the bench, double gust those into the active position. Like I said earlier, because all the non-Donphan Pokemon in this deck are babies, double gust isn't going to mean anything to you. You're going to be able to free retreat out of that. Get in there with Donphan and deal 50 damage to the Pokemon that you want to attack. And it's the same on the disruption side of things. You want to constantly keep your opponent off balance, and so maybe hanging on to those double gusts in your hand, using them more strategically than just playing them as soon as you see something you want to attack. You can gain different types of advantage just depending on how you choose to use this card. That's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you thought about this build, and if you've played Rapid Spin decks before, let me know if you prefer Donphan or Forretress. Also, be sure to let me know if you have any request decks that you want to see featured on the channel. Links to all of my social media is in the description. And until next video, bye.